witches, how you doing today? We're back with another video. How do you know if you're doing witchcraft right? It's a common question you see asked, and yeah, I thought we should talk about it today. So for those of you who are new around here, my name is Taya. Welcome to the channel where we talk about all things witchcraft. And for those of you who are returning viewers, maybe coming in from another video, welcome back. Thank you so much for your support. It's truly appreciated. And all of you, please consider subscribing. It's a great way to help us build the channel. So how do you know if you're doing witchcraft right? I think first we need to look at what are people actually asking when they ask that. And it's usually one of two things. First of all, they're talking about the actual practice of witchcraft. Like, what do I do as a witch for my practice? Am I doing that right? And more commonly, it's talking about the magic of witchcraft, right? I'm looking at spell casting and how do I know if I'm doing that right? So when it comes to your general practice, that's very tradition specific. And I know there's a lot of people out there who don't necessarily have a tradition that they're part of. They're more of an eclectic practitioner or just a solitary practitioner, and maybe they don't have a tradition to fall back on. So before we get into the magic part, I want to offer you guys a chance at my Building a Traditional Witchcraft Practice class. It's being offered November 17th through the Edmonton Traditional Witchcrafters Guild. And basically, I'll read to you the description of it. It says, are you tired of winging it as a witchcraft practitioner? Would you like a practice that resonates with your authentic self? Are you feeling overwhelmed with all of the varying opinions on the internet? Well, the truth is, you have all the pieces of your practice inside you. You just need to trust yourself to bring it all together. In the workshop, we're going to cover the 5 elements of a traditional witchcraft practice, the number 1 mistake witches make when setting up their practice, how to use your ancestry to build your base, how to tap into your inspiration and appreciation, how to create a schedule that works for you, how to incorporate your environment to feel more connected, and how to authentically work within your personal boundaries. You'll leave the class with a personalized witchcraft practice that is designed by you for your particular circumstances to help you connect to your witchcraft in the most authentic way possible. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, head on over to etwguild.com, etwguild.com, and you can register there under classes and just check out the details if you'd like. That's happening Wednesday, November 17th at 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. It's just offered by Zoom. Okay, so that's a little bit about the practice and how I can help you with that. It's a bit more than I can do get into in a single video, right? We'd be here for an hour and a half. But more often than not, people are asking, how do I know if I'm doing my magic right? And that's a little bit more practitioner specific. And at the end of the day, who determines what is the right way to do magic? Because if you're on the internet, you know everybody has an opinion. Some really basic stuff. Can you blow out a candle when you're done your spell? Or are you blowing away the spell? Or are you sending the spell out on your breath into the universe? Do you have to use color corresponded candles, or can you just use white candles? Can you cast a spell with just words, or must herbs be included? And what about gemstones? Some people swear by them as like magical pieces that they, can't cast spells without, and other people are like, they're just rocks, whatever. How do you know who's right? Well, look at it this way. There are a staggering number of magical practices out there in the witchcraft and occult world. Just a few: tradcraft, Wicca, hoodoo, chaos magic, the old grimoire magics. And they all get results, right? Or people wouldn't do them. So we know that there's lots of different ways to get results, and one doesn't necessarily negate another. And I think that that's where witchcraft practitioners need to focus, is on the results. Are you getting the results that you desire? And if you are getting the results, you did it right, period. No one gets to tell you differently. Because that's the thing about witchcraft. Witchcraft is about self-determination. People have opinions based on what works for them, but you have to do what works for you. So how do you prove to yourself that something is working? How do you determine if what you are doing is working, is getting you results, and therefore is right for you. 3 things you need to do, in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, it's all opinion, guys. You need to keep notes of your spell work. You need to track your results. And then you need to analyze your results and your notes, right? You need to go back and look at what you did and the results that you got and determine if that worked. Now, the other thing that lets you do then is it lets you adjust your spellcraft accordingly. It lets you adjust your magical work and get better at what you're doing. So let's go through those kind of 4 steps. The first one is keep notes. So you can keep notes in your grimoire. Lots of people do that. You can have a separate book, like a journal that you just use for keeping track of your spellcrafting. And you're going to keep track of literally everything. The spell's purpose, its timing, the method, like is it candle magic or sigil magic? What does a sigil look like? What color candles did you use? What herbs did you include? All of that. All those details. Even stuff like, what hour of the day did I do it in? What magical, right? There's like planetary correspondences for the hours. There's planetary correspondences for the days. All those kind of details. Keep track of them. Those might be what makes the difference. How did you feel while you were casting your spell? Did you feel empowered and this is great? Were you feeling like just sort of tired and unfocused? How did you feel afterwards? Did you feel drained and tired afterwards? Did you feel excited afterwards? Notes on the actual spell casting process. So you've got your spell written out. This is what I'm going to do. Is that actually what you did? What did you add in? What did you maybe deviate from? Right? Keep notes of that. I said I was going to include peppermint, but at the last minute, it just didn't feel right. I left it out. I missed a step, doing this or whatever. And then, and this is what a lot of people forget, you need to keep track of your mundane supporting actions for that spell work. So say you were doing a money spell, you're going to do a jar, right? So you're going to write down, this is the jar, this is the herbs that went into it, this is, I put the candle on top, it's this color, I burned it for this long, I, held it between my hands and charged it with energy, I said this incantation over it, and I did it at this time of day, on this day, I felt like this when I was doing it, I felt like this afterwards, and then I went out and applied for 6 new jobs, or I went out and asked my boss for a raise, or I went out and bought a lottery ticket, whatever. Just write down your mundane actions. And if you didn't take any mundane actions, maybe there aren't any that would be appropriate, or maybe you just didn't feel like doing them, write that down. I didn't. I thought about doing this, but I didn't do it, whatever. And you'll see later why that becomes important. So you're going to keep all these really detailed notes around your spell work. Then you're going to track the results. So basically you write down anything that occurs in relation to the purpose of your spell. So say it was a money spell. You're going to write down if you find change in the couch or in your car, if you got a gift of money, if you found a penny on the sidewalk, if you got a raise at work, if somebody offered you a side gig, hey, I'm part of this, multi-level marketing company. You should come and work with me. Maybe you're going to turn them down, but that was still an offer that came in relating to income. So write down anything and everything that came up during the time frame set for your spell, which ideally you would have noted in the beginning, this is going to manifest within 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. But you're going to keep track of anything and everything that happens in relation to that money spell. Maybe you had a performance review at work, right? Typically performance reviews are related to raises. So write that down. How did it go? And then once the time frame you've set is passed, you're going to go back and see, was your spell successful? Like based on the results, would you consider that successful? And how successful was it? So yeah, it was super successful. I got a raise at work. Oh, everything's awesome. You know what? It was successful. I found, 7 out of 10 days that I set for the spell, I found spare change kicking around in my car or on the sidewalk or in the thing. Wasn't very successful. That's not how much money I was looking for, but I did find money on a consistent basis, right? So you're going to take track all of your results and how successful or not successful you think that spell was. And then you're going to go back and analyze your notes and results. So you can do this with just a single spell. You could go back and analyze that money spell, see where, see how it turned out. But imagine what you could do if you had these notes and tracking for an entire body of spell work. I'm talking over the course of, say, a year. And in that year, you can then analyze by category, by love, protection, money spells, right? And figure out, oh, wow, I'm really good at love spells, but I'm not very good at protection spells. Or maybe, hey, I did 7 money spells. Now you can compare the ones that worked and the ones that didn't work. You can look for similarities and differences. All my money spells that succeeded, what did they have in common? Oh, they all used, rosemary. Or all your spells that failed, what did they have in common? Maybe they all used rosemary. Maybe that's not a good ingredient for me to be using. Or maybe it had to do with the timing that they had in common, or whatever, right? But you can pull out these details. You'll also start to learn what types of magic you're good at. So maybe you're really good at love magic or protection magic. Maybe you're really good at sigil work and your candle spells weren't so hot. And you'll also then learn where you can improve. So my sigils weren't so hot. Any kind of sigil work I did, regardless of what kind of spell it was, just didn't turn out so well or was kind of weak results. And maybe it's something you're going to drop. You know what? I'm not going to do sigils anymore. They're not working for me. Or maybe you're like, I really want to get good at that. I'm going to learn more about it. Or maybe you find out, yeah, you know what? My protection spells just didn't come in very well. Maybe, yeah, I need to learn how to do that so I can be better at it. You'll also find certain ingredients, tools, and steps that are particularly potent for you, or maybe not. When I did my spell work and ingredient-wise, right, we talked about using the rosemary, or maybe, you know what, for me, chamomile. I can't use chamomile in spells because every time I use it, I end up having an allergic reaction. I end up sneezing. I'm unfocused. I can't focus on the spell. Even if I'm not having an allergic reaction, I'm afraid I'm going to have an allergic reaction. And that sets, you know what I mean? It takes my mind off of my focus, which should be on the purpose of the spell, not on trying to avoid an allergy attack. So chamomile, not good for me. Tools, right? Hey, you know what? Whenever I did spell work within, say, a compass round, it worked out really well if I laid that compass round with my stang, but if I laid that compass round with my athame, it wasn't as strong. Or I did cord cutting, and when I used my hand to do it, it worked out okay, but when I used my athame to do it, I really felt it strongly. What else can we talk about? Or steps, right? When I did my work within the compass round, it was much more potent. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was casting a protective circle and it made my spell work not as effective because I couldn't get out of my circle. Right? Maybe whenever I tried to pact with spirits, it didn't work well. But when I did more folk magic, just, basing it on, say, a rowan berry and just the powers of that rowan berry, it turned out really well. So you can see why you need really detailed notes and results tracking to go back and start analyzing exactly what you've been doing. And then finally, that will tell you what you're good at. It will show you the results that you have or have not had. You can then adjust your methods accordingly and create. First of all, you're going to create more potent spells in the future, but secondly, you can ensure that you are doing witchcraft magic correctly for you, right? When you see results and analysis written down in black and white, no one can tell you otherwise because you've got the written receipts to prove what you're doing. And I think that is just a huge self-confidence booster, and will help you not only get better at your spell work, but really feel more empowered to know that you are doing it right. So, how do you know if you're doing your magic right? Do you track it? Do you keep detailed notes and do analysis, or share your method for figuring out and determining whether or not you're doing it right? I'd love to know. And otherwise, yeah, that's our video for today. Mwah! Thanks so much, you guys. Super appreciate it.